Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we're getting pretty darn spicy with it today. I wanted to play as many cards from the new set as possible, and I think the easiest way of doing that was to play some sort of bizarre insect deck. But we've got Eumidian Hatchery, so I'm happy, right? So, they printed quite a lot of insects in the new set, and there are some good insects that do exist, like Grist being probably the best one. This is an insect when it's not on the battlefield. So when you mill it over, if you hit another copy, it's going to trigger. But when we do the milling, we should trigger a lot and make a lot of guys from it. So that's something quite exciting to look at here. In terms of how our curve works with all these insects, Molt Tender is a card you've seen before on the channel. It top-8'd a big event. This mills us whilst also being a mana dork, so it's kind of doing double duty for the things we want to do. So we want to go up the curve. We've got ourselves some more milling in the form of Seedship Broodtender. So this is a 2/3 for 2 mana. It mills 3, but then you can pay 5 and sack it to reanimate a creature from your graveyard. So we've got a few things that are worth reanimating with this Seedship Broodtender. So we have Altanak. This is a 9/9 Trampler. We can also discard it from our hand to return a land card from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And if they target it, we get to draw a card. And it also can be brought into play via Say Its Name, which is a 2 mana mill 3, then return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. So you can exile this card and 2 other cards with the same name, and then search your graveyard, library, or hand, whatever, and put Altanak into play. So we're kind of using this to mill us, which is something we want to be doing anyway, as well as getting our big Altanak beat stick, which we can also reanimate later on with a Seedship Broodtender. We've got a Hornet Queen. This produces a lot of bodies. It's well worth reanimating with a Seedship Broodtender, I think. We have a Giant Ankheg, which is a card that I hadn't seen until I did a little gatherer search. It's an 8 mana 8/8 with Trample. Other creatures you control have Trample and Ward 2, and itself has Ward 2. So just a big boy that's a little bit harder to deal with. And then our main big threat that we're going to be relying on for the most part is Huskburster Swarm. So this is an 8 mana 6/6 with Menace and Death Touch. However, it costs 1 less to cast for each creature you own in exile and in your graveyard. So when we're milling ourselves over, we're making these cards really cheap. And even if our opponent wipes our graveyard, these are still going to be cheap. So it's going to get around some graveyard hate as well. So there's a lot of synergy here. We're just trying to mill ourselves, get extra value, get the Huskburster Swarm in, doing these sorts of things. Then we've got a few other decent insects in here. So we have Webstrike Elite. Webstrike Elite. This is one you might not have seen before. It's a 2 mana 3/3 with Reach, which means it can at the very least trade with Delver of Secrets and stuff. But it has an interesting cycling mode where you pay X and green, and as you're cycling it to get your card, you also get to blow up an artifact or enchantment with mana value X. So for 2 mana, this blows up as a saga and cantrips. That's kind of a big deal, and this is just sort of complementing our one-off Boseiju as well for more of that sort of effect. Another new card we have here is Icetill Explorer. I think this card is pretty good. I wanted to play more, but we're trying to diversify and see lots of different things so we can get a feel of how these different things look. So this is, you may play additional land on each of your turns, you may play land cards from your graveyard, and whenever a land card enters under your control, you mill a card. So it's Exploration and Crucible of Worlds on the same card. So that is something I'm going to be signing right up for. We'll be up 4 Wastelands and some fetches that we can work with it here. Another new card we have is Eumidian Wastewaker. So this is a 4 mana 4/4. Whenever this creature attacks, you and defending player each discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. You draw a card for each land put into a graveyard this way. Now, why are we running this card? We are running this card because we have Eumidian Hatchery. Quite often we might just wasteland our own hatchery, but what we're going to do sometimes is use this and sacrifice this, which will then draw us a card and get us all the insects. This is a card I really like. We're just trying to see how much we have to actually support it. We played it in Smallpox before, which has lots of support. Now we have a lot less support, so we'll see how it looks. Another land that we have to talk about here is Swarmyard. So, tap, regenerate target insect, rat, spider, or squirrel. So we just have a land that taps to regenerate all of the creatures in our deck. That is pretty useful, as it turns out. Hopefully we can leverage this nicely. We've also got 3 Cavern of Souls, so we can cast our insects around counter magic, and then just 4 Thoughtseizes to punch a hole. We're relying on the Grist to be removing stuff, and then when we go to the sideboard, as you can see, we've got 4 Shoulder's Edicts in here, and an Assassin's Trophies. We've got a bunch more removal. We've got Graveyard Hate in the form of Laying on the Void. Against combo decks, we're playing a piece of hand disruption that is also an insect and has some pretty grisly art as well. So this is Brain Maggot. It's like a Mesmeric Fiend style effect. Is this the best thing we'd be doing? No, but we are getting our insect on, right? Another insect we have is Haywire Mite, which can blow up some stuff too, along with Canoptek, Scarab Swarm. This exiles graveyards from fair graveyard decks, like Murktide Regent decks, or stuff that's just getting value out of their graveyard rather than needing a full-on Laying on the Void to stop it. And that's the deck. Is this going to be 5-0 the league? No. This is no way going to get us a trophy. However, we're testing a lot of new stuff out, so we're going to learn a lot, and it should be a lot of fun because we're playing some pretty weird cards that, if they all come together nicely, will be great. I think this Huskburster Swarm is actually really good. I did have another build that was a lot better than this, I think, probably, but it was a lot less exciting, and it didn't test as many new things. I do think like the 4 Grist, 4 Huskburster Swarms, and a few other bits and pieces is a good way to start a deck list at the moment. But we're going to try and explore a lot of new cards and see how they all fit together. I wanted to play this card, which isn't available online, so it's a 5-mana 5/5. You may play lands and cast insect spells from your graveyard. Whenever another insect you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library, then mill 2 cards. And then you can pay to give insects +1 and Death Touch. So this card is sadly not on Magic Online. It's one of the Jumpstart cards. But it would fit very nicely into here as like a one-off. We could also be playing things like Natural Order, Green Sun Zenith. There are options. Like I said, I did have a better build with like Green Sun Zenith, but I wanted to fit in lots of the new stuff and just see how they feel. I don't expect many of them are going to be like staples at all, but we're going to see how they all feel. Alright, like and subscribe, and let's start bugging our opponents out. For free, fast, and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products, and full sets, check out 3for1 Trading. Whether it's the legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COW3 for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. We are on the play. What does our hand do? It's not great, is it? I think we'll mulligan. Okay, I can work with this one. Then we keep this and throw back 1 Wasteland. We've got a game plan. We mill a bunch of stuff, get this Grist going, and then play a big guy. A little bit of disruption on the way. We can also find a card with say its name. So yeah, seems alright. Another Wasteland. Do I think this Wasteland is going to be good or not? No, I think we'll get rid of it. I'm not sure what we even look like to our opponent, because Wasteland plus Underground Mortuary is not a particularly common sight. Ancient Tomb and pass. Okay. I think it's more important to get black mana or green mana here. Because if we think we might be getting hit by a Blood Moon soon, we need to be careful about what we're playing. I think we want black just looking at our hand. So we'll go for black. And we'll cast Say Its Name. Could get really lucky and make a 9/9 this turn and just win the game though. That is a possibility. Swarmyard. I quite like this Swarmyard, but I don't think that's what we're about right now. Is it the Wasteland? I think we're just going to go and get the Catacombs and just make sure that we have our colours underneath the Blood Moon. Because if they have a Blood Moon, then these won't work anyway, and neither will this. But if they don't play a Blood Moon for a turn, we get in to get our basic, then we're just sort of okay. And we can start doing Grist things next turn, and then out comes the Swarms. If our opponent is like a fair red deck, these creatures should be big enough to beat any of their things. Now, they can obviously go over the top eventually with like Pyrogoyce and Fables. There's a Saga, sure. 3 mana. Basalt Monolith. Okay, so we're on Karn Forge rather than Mono Red Stompy. Mono Red Stompy is more popular. That's why it was my first assumption from when we saw the Ancient Tomb. Alright, we're on a blue build. And we're about to draw our hand again. A new hand. Okay. Thoughtseize is nice. But are we going to get another turn? Likely. For 1 ring. Okay. You got it, boss. So we can't Thoughtseize in this turn. We can Wasteland them off of this. But then what are we doing with the rest of our mana? Very little. Is that better than just getting a Grist in? Probably. Got the Saga. And then I guess we just chill out here. Can't play anything else. We didn't really have enough slots to add in the things we needed for this deck. Grim Monolith. Sure. Drawing in our turn. This is so that if we have a Bowmasters, it doesn't hit them as much. Because they will be summoning sick. Okay, so are we Wastelanding or are we playing a guy? Sorry, are we Thoughtseizing or are we playing a thing out? Presumably our opponent just has a whole boatload of good things in hand. I don't think a Thoughtseize is going to be the way to get through that. I'm also not convinced the Grist is going to be doing much work either. Alright. Let's name Insect. Okay, let's mill. Didn't hit an insect. No free insects. It just doesn't feel like Thoughtseizing into somebody who's untapping with a 1 ring is really going to make much of a difference. They had 7 cards already. We take one of those cards, they immediately draw 4 cards on their turn. Like, how are we really going to make any headway with Thoughtseize? What we need to do is try and kill our opponent before they can get enough stuff out of the 1 ring, maybe. I think we're just dead. I don't think we are able to win this one. The other option we had this turn was to Thoughtseize and play Altanak. Or do the alternate mode of Altanak. Which maybe is better because it means we get the Wasteland for this as a saga. Let's play this out. Let's go and get our basic forest. Actually, we don't need to get a basic now. We know our opponent's deck. So we can play Icetill Explorer. Uncountably, of course. We get to play an additional land, so we play this Wasteland and take out the Saga. We mill a card. We take out this as a Saga. Yep, taking some pain off of their Ancient Tomb. They got a big boy. I don't think I'm killing the big boy just yet. I think we're just going to keep milling our way through and see if we can get these Huskburster Swarms going. Like, our opponent doesn't have a lot of life left. And that Ancient Tomb is one of their mana sources. A Flash Rig. Okay, this could be the turn we die. Let's find out. They've got 10 cards in hand. If any of them are a key, they should be able to win the game here. We got a follow-up spawn, a follow-up Flesh Raker as well. City of Traitors, plenty of mana. A lot of mana going into this spell. Is this just going to be a Kozilek's Command? Feels like it. Oh, Paradoxical Outcome. Yeah, that's also terrible news for us. So now they play all these things out. They're not underneath the One Ring anymore. So they're on a PO deck rather than the other one. I guess we saw the blue, so we kind of knew that to a degree. They should be able to kill us here. Alright, they've spammed out a bunch more permanents. We're on 12 now. They got the key. I think they're just going to kill us here. And we're certainly not going to get through all these bodies. So we should probably just go to the sideboard and add some delicious Brain Maggots. And Haywire Might looks good. Cecil Trophy looks good. So they have Echo of Eons as a line. But also, they don't need it. So I don't really go and dilute our deck with all these ley lines that maybe do nothing. I think these things are what we want. We probably just get rid of some of our big top end. Do we even need the Altanak here? Probably not. Getting rid of the Altanak, we probably get rid of some Say Its names as well. Maybe we'll keep in an Edict so that we can answer a Khan. Or something like that, maybe. Or we could just have this Canoptek Scarab Swarm maybe pop their graveyard at a key moment. I'm not overly familiar with the exact configurations of the Paradoxical Outcome decks at the moment, because they're pretty fringe. This does not play Magic really, so we're going to have to mulligan this one. Alright, this is removal spell for some of the scary things our opponent can have. What are we putting back here? Probably the Huskburster Swarm. We don't really need a massively expensive card right now. We can mill ourselves with the Underground Mortuary, unless our opponent has something really good that we... Oh, sorry, unless the top of our deck has something really good. Okay, so they have a defense grid. That is fine. So we're probably going to be on that Wasteland life here. More Wastelands. Seedship Broodmother. Sure. That's okay. This turn we are just nailing our opponent's land, and then next turn we can do the Seedship, and then we can Springheart Nantuko if we wish, and just mill a bunch more stuff over turns down the stretch. Soprolic Springs tapped, please. Or untapped and they play nothing. A Manifold Key, sure. Thoughtseize is very good here. Our opponent having so few cards. I think we are supposed to take the Thoughtseize here. It's not the most mana efficient turn, but we'll take it. So they do have a Khan. Don't particularly want to play against the Khan. The Lion's Eye Diamond is obviously a path to doing some pretty busted stuff too. I think I'll just take the Khan. This is the one that makes a bunch of tokens and draws some cards. And we're not great at removing stuff once it's in play. We don't have a lot of creature removal, so I think we just take this Khan. And then we are probably just going to Webstrike Elite the Urza Saga this turn. A Manifold Key, yep. You got lots of keys. Okay, I guess we are doing the play that we have. Goodbye Urza Saga. Huskburster Swarm. You are still very expensive, but we can start doing some Seedship Broodtending soon. Lion's Eye Diamonds, it trades out, so we're going to see a Paradoxical Outcome this turn. Boingy boingy, off they go. They don't really need a defense grid against us, so they're quite happy to just throw that around, bounce out of play, use it as a card. I don't think our next turn is going to be that exciting either, which is a little bit awkward. We're certainly not well set up against these combo decks. Like I said, we did have a better list, but I wanted to try out more things today. Better list would have had Green Sun Zenith into Collector Reef for a matchup like this. Grist the Hunger Tide. Is that better than playing two things? I don't think it is. Do I want to enchant my Seedship Broodtender? Probably. Then we go for black, green, make this guy. Mill 3 cards. So we've got 3 creature cards. This costs 4. What's 5 now? Alright, let's bestow this. We can mill quite aggressively if we get more turns, but the problem is we're not really getting those turns because our opponent's just going to pop off here. Fleshraker, we dead this turn? Seagate Reborn. Manifold Key. Popping us in the face for a little bit of damage. Do they have anything to go with these keys? Because we know they've got another one that we saw earlier as well. Grim Monolith, sure. Another Fleshraker. Got the feeling our little Seedship Broodtender is probably not going to be the one to get through this. Alright, so each spell they play domes us for 4 and gives them 2 mana. They're nearly out of cards. Of Assault Monolith, yep. What is your last card? Is it an Echo? Oh, pretty brutal for us. I don't think we know what the last card is. Oh wow, we get a turn. Easy peasy. Now what? We can kill a Fleshraker. Right, so we get rid of one Fleshraker. Maybe our opponent doesn't have any more action and we get a little bit more time. So 4 creature cards down, so this costs 4 mana now. So still a little bit out of where we are right now. Would have loved to have drawn a land this turn instead of just another Grist. Okay, have you bricked on action? Are we still alive? 3 mana. Making an unblockable Fleshraker. You got it. What are you going to attack here? The me or the Grist? We're going after the Grist. That saves us a little bit of life. I'll take it. Kind of need... Like if we get a land and our Springheart Nantuko does more stuff, Thoughtseize becomes a little bit dicey here, doesn't it? That's minus the Grist. We could have attacked first, to be honest. Okay, so now we've got 6 cards. This costs 2, right? So we can't do this. Am I Thoughtseizing my opponent? They've only got 2 cards in hand. I guess so. We're not winning or losing this game by small margins when the time gets there. I guess we take the Seagate Restoration. They might be able to cast that at some point. If our opponent bricks this turn and we can like make a giant thing that requires 2 blockers a turn, we might be able to get over the finish line. We're going to need our opponent to not have a good turn. Looks like they didn't have a good turn. Big fan of that one. Let's plus this. What's happening here? They untap and they're Grim Monolith. Are they going to cast Kozilek's Command or something? Okay, how many creature cards do we have in our graveyard now? 6. So this costs 2 mana. Also play out our little Molt Tender. We can use the Grist to ultimate and maybe get a lot of damage in on our opponent later on. If they keep breaking off, this is what we need. A Brain Maggot. Sure, I'll take a Brain Maggot. So they've got Lion's Eye Diamond we can take. Grim Monolith. They're kind of much of a muchness, aren't they? I guess I'll take the Monolith here. And then this is going to plus a Swarmyard. Alright, Huskburster Swarm and my little 1-1. And my other little 1-1. You're all coming in. Okay, so we have to strip out 2 Eldrazi spawn tokens, but we know that mana isn't really the bottleneck for our opponent here. Get 2 damage in. The bottleneck for them is obviously business spells. They have a lot in their deck. Alright, they've got something here. The One Ring. Okay. I can't remember if we have a Haywire Might that we bought in or not. It was definitely in one of the builds I was toying around with. So they're going to draw a lot of cards with the One Ring this turn. Fleshraker. They need to play 3 spells to kill us. Lion's Eye Diamond is 1. And now they can crack these for a bunch of mana, untap the One Ring, and they just need to find 2 spells between, what, 5 cards? If they don't kill us this turn, we can at least kill the Fleshraker. Grim Monolith puts us to 1. Do you have any other spell opponents? They do indeed, and we are dead. Not surprised we lost that one. You can beat this with the right sideboard, which we just don't have. There's only so many things you can prepare for. Let's go to round 2. On the play, we've got some hatchery action. Maybe too many hatcheries. I'm going to keep this though, and we can lead off with a Molt Tender. That allows us to get some value of the Springheart Nantuko. Play this one out. I'm going to go and get a basic forest. We've got plenty of black mana here. We just don't want to be cut off of green mana. Your friend of mine, Molt Tender. So this is going to exile our Verdant Catacombs, bestow the Springheart on it, and then we can play a Eumidian Hatchery or an Underground Mortuary and get a free insect. A Dragon's Rage Channeler. Sure. And a Bauble to follow up. This suggests to me that my opponent doesn't have a Curry Steel Cutter, otherwise you would sandbag this. You forgo the Surveil, but you end up with a much higher value object the turn after. It's always worth reading what your opponent's doing and telling you what they have. Huskburster Swarm. So we can play into days or not. Those are our options here. I think we're going to play into days. We need to start accumulating material on the board. Alright, we're in. And this is Surveil Land. So we get 1-1. Webstrike Elite. This blocks pretty well. Sure, I'll take it. It's kind of an answer to our opponent's board. They only have 2 types in there, but a Ponder and all of a sudden they're ready to go. Lightning Bolt on the Molt Tender. So we get to keep our Springheart Nantuko. This is going to be 3 types in graveyard now. Instant, Artifact, Land. They've got a Sorcery. And they're golden. Would love to trade my insect token for your Dragon's Rage Channeler. Please allow me to do that. Right, they're cracking their polluted delta. They could just be getting a Surveil Land just to have a look. Nope, they're getting a Volcanic Islands. There's probably more spells going. Okay, so they did have the Ponder, so they've got the 3/3 now. The Ponder resolves. They left the card on top, so I doubt they're shuffling this Ponder. Yeah, they drew the card they left on top. We take 3. It's back over to us. So this is the card that we knew we were drawing. Let's play the Hatchery. We go to attacks here. Get 2 damage in. Play out your friend and mine, Webstrike Elite. When I started playing this game, a 2/3 for green was like really good. And now it's a 3/3 reach with additional abilities. How the times have changed. And then in our opponent's end step, we can decide if we want to tap this Hatchery. I don't think we do. We don't really have a great way of getting rid of it just yet. And Life Total is going to be really important in this game. Wow, we've got a Force of Will on Webstrike Elite. Not a phrase I was expecting to ever use playing Legacy, but here we are. Just going to put second creature in, so this now costs 6 mana. We need a bit more milling to occur before this really gets us where we need to be. Maybe our deck needs to be more like Insect Hogak with like Stitcher's Supplier and our early drops as well. But if we keep making lands, our clock will continue to grow. This would be a great turn for a Murktide Regent from them. Lightning Bolt targeting my Springheart Nantuko. So this is going to mean that we don't get to keep accruing more power. So our opponent's clock will continue to be better than ours. But it puts another creature in there. This is now only 5 mana. We could play that little milling guy, and he could flip over 3 creatures and just give us the Huskburster. What are you going to wasteland here? Not my Hatchery. Boo. Could have got an insect. Seedship Broodtender. This is very much one of the things I just mentioned that we could get some joy with. Let's tend the brood, please. So if we put 3 creatures in the graveyard, this will cost 2, so we still won't be able to play it this turn, but next turn we should be looking at playing this. We'll leave our graveyard out because we're trying to use it. Not the most amount of things, but next turn we get to do some stuff. Ponder. They could still play a Murktide Regent, which is the thing we want to see the least here because it's just bigger than our guys. And they will be able to just tank a face hit from this and ignore the damage and just come through and kill us. Alright, no Murktide Regent right there. They kept cards on top though. They've also shown us they have Stifle in their list. I can't imagine they have a lot of Stifles. This is a little bit not really what I'm talking about right now. Let's attack with the squad. If they kill our Broodtender, then it makes our other guy cheaper. It's got 4 creature cards in here, so we could play into days right now and make this. It'll cost us 3 life to do that, though. Is it worth it, though? Probably, because it gives us lethal damage. We are dead to Lightning Bolt now, though. We've already gone through 2 Lightning Bolts. Alright, we're in with our massive insect. So we have lethal damage next turn. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're dead to Lightning Bolt. Brazen Borrower is kind of annoying. I think we can probably beat the equipment if they have it this turn. Right, that's 3 damages. You're just going to bolt my face. I've seen a third of their deck. And half of their lightning bolts. So we're odds on to be okay here. They could play a Murktide, which gets a little bit awkward for us. Instead they did nothing. Big fan of them doing nothing. Do we cast this? What does it do? Return a creature or land. Do any of these creatures or land matter? Not right now. We could... No, we can't. We don't have the green source. Alright, I think we're just attacking here. What is your answer to our board? A petty theft on the big boy. Yep. It's good. It's certainly one of the things we didn't want to happen. Alright, let's say its name. We're dead on our opponent's next swing, so we need to find something for black-black that answers our opponent's creature here. That we can be finding off of say its name. Getting back this doesn't matter. This doesn't have reach. The only thing that has reach is a spell we can't cast, so we are dead here. Alright, we gave it a good old try though. Alright, a creature deck you say. Let me have these edicts instead of these Thoughtseizes. That seems like a good start. I wouldn't mind this Canoptek Scarab Swarm. That's probably better than this guy. Do we want this Assassin's Trophy just as another answer to some of their spooky friends? Possibly. What are we going to get rid of in order to make that happen? It's maybe just a Huskburster Swarm. Let's try this. Maybe our milling isn't enough for the Huskburster to be at its best. I like casting my spells. This isn't great at doing that. But I think it's okay. We can lead off on the Hatchery. It's not really allowed. They want to Wasteland on the first turn cycle. And then we can use it to get the say its name going next turn. And is a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Understood. Hornet Queen. Let's try and say its name, shall we? I don't think this is worth counterspelling for our opponent, but it's actually kind of important for us. I'll take a swamp. This might make our opponent wasteland us, that we took a land. Or it might make them not wasteland us because they're like, oh, they've already got the land. But they can take us off of green. Alright, no wasteland. That's good news for us. That means we can deploy something like a Grist or a Webstrike Elite. No, we can't deploy the Webstrike Elite. We need a second green, don't we? But if we draw the green, we can deploy it. Okay. Our opponent's got some channelers. Understood. We're just going to get dazed out of this game? Perhaps. A Molt Tender. I don't think that's the one we're playing right now, is it? I think it is get Grist going time. Why can't we sacrifice lands with Grist? That would be really nice. Let's make a 1-1 guy. It's going to add stuff to our graveyard. Lightning Bolt targeting the Grist. Putting a land in their bin. Putting a daze in their bin. There's still 2 types right now. 3 types. Okay, 3 types. These are still 1-1s. If they want to attack with them as they are, then we get to block and kill one. A Lightning Bolt. Finishing off the Grist. Okay. Can they find a creature? They found an artifact, so now they have 9 power in play. I don't think we're winning this one. But I don't think a lot of better decks than ours are also winning against our opponent's hand, because this is a pretty strong hand. Triple Channeler into double Bolt is a lot. Okay. What are we doing on our next turn? Dying, I guess? Like, if they have lethal, we can make a Webstrike Elite. That keeps us alive. If you can call that living. Is that better than getting a Grist? It's kind of the same either way, isn't it, really? We get a Forest here. It's probably more mana efficient to do the Grist. Both ways lose to removal. Right, let's just get this in. We should attack for 1 first. Alright, they got a Force of Will, and we are very, very dead. Yeah, the Triple Channeler flipping on turn 2, or sorry, on turn 3, with double Bolt and Force. That's a lot. We're not winning that one. Okay, let's go to round number 3 and see if we can pick up a little insect win. 2 Huskburster Swarms. I don't think we can keep this hand. This is better. We don't have a second... We don't have our first green, in fact. Is this actually worth keeping? It's a little tight that we don't have the green. We have a lot of green source in our deck. Let's check how many. 3, 4... 14 green sources. So that's like pretty close to like 1 in 4. Well, it's better. It's not quite 1 in 3, but it's better than 1 in 4. I'm gonna believe in the deck. And what are we getting rid of here? Probably the Molt Tender. We're not going to get it out at a reasonable time. And we are on the draw, so we do get another draw step before we have to worry about it. A Caracas. Okay. An Ocelot's Pride. That is a guy. I will start off with the Hatchery here. Let's take a peek. Orcish Bowmaster, Voice of Victory. I don't really like any of these for us. I think I'm going to take the Voice because it's a 1/3. Our deck with lots of 1/1 insects probably wants them to just have 1/1 guys. Right, so they're going to hit us for 1. That's going to also make them a cat token. We could really do with finding that green source right now. A Wasteland. Okay, we get a 1/1 insect. That's okay. They didn't play out their land. That's very interesting to me. Alright, a guy. Some guy. Are we wastelanding our opponent here and keeping them off of all the cards we know are in their hand? Oh, sorry, they did play land. They played the Wasteland. What am I talking about? I could cut them off of black if I wait, or I could cut them off of playing anything if I just play this now. I think we're going to take out this Caracas and see if we can strand our opponent without any resources. Are we trading here? These trades don't feel great for us, do they? Alright, we'll leave it. We'll keep our opponent away from the City's Blessing. They might not attack with the cat token if we have the insect token. I suspect they don't care. This has first strike, so blocking this isn't really on. They are coming in. I think I will clean this off the board. We know they have got Bowmasters coming, so being able to take this out while we still can instead of it just being eaten by Bowmasters makes sense. We need some lands though. Okay, not the card we needed. We've got another turn. Like, our 2/3s are actually really good into this matchup. As amusing as that is, we just need to be able to cast them. But this will be the 4th turn, so statistically speaking, we should hit a green source this turn. It's more likely than not, since we've missed on the other ones. Alright, boom, here we go. Let's crack this. We're going to go and get a basic forest here. And then let's tend to our brood. Enjoy our limited playable creature. 2 creature cards in the graveyard. Okay, so Huskburster Swarm is going to need a little bit more help. But we can just... Okay, they're just ploughing it. That's annoying. As I say, we can just keep sitting 2/3s in front of our opponent's board. Unfortunately, their removal doesn't put the creature into our graveyard to make our Huskburster Swarm cheaper. I'm still stuck on 1 land. Thoughtseize. We don't get to do these things, do we? I think this is just make the Broodtender. Maybe next turn we can say its name and Huskburster Swarm in the same turn. How many creatures? 3 creatures. Okay. We have the biggest creature on board. It's turn 6, and that creature is a 2/3. What a weird game. Hopefully they're stuck here. Okay, so they can Bowmaster and ping, but that doesn't stop this from being able to kill the Ocelot Pride. They could play other removal. They got like Static Prison, Source to Plowshares, possibly Prismatic Ending. These will all be pretty good into our little guy. Okay, we've got red mana here. Does that mean we're looking at things like Broadside Bombardiers in their list? Okay, they've got Goblin Bombardment, so they can sacrifice 3 of these to kill our brood ship if they want to kill our Broodtender. Or they can sack 2. Sure, I'm not going to block this because they can just sack 2, whereas this way they have to sack 3 guys to get there. They might just go to the face instead. That's what they're doing. Getting a little bit dicey for us, I won't lie. Okay, our plan is probably cast this and hope to mill over more copies of Say Its Name and just put a 9/9 into play. That's the best case scenario right now. Just mill over 2 more. Let us get a 9/9 and all of a sudden I'll feel pretty stable. Although they can Bowmaster ping it, we draw a card, they Bowmaster ping it, Bowmaster ping it, Bowmaster ping it. And things get a bit weird and they can sacrifice the Orcish Bowmaster token every rep. So they actually have an infinite combo that kills us if we did find it. What do I want to do here? I can take them off of white mana, if that's useful. Or I could just go and get a land to help me play some stuff. Let's get this Cavern. 5 creature cards, so we can't actually play everything we want. I'll play this on Insect. So we could have got the Verdant Catacombs, then got the Surveil land, But the thing is, I don't want my opponents to have 3 life points on us. When they're attacking us with 1/1s, that does change the clock and the number of bodies they have to get through. I think we maybe have to block the Ocelot Pride and get them to sacrifice some tokens here. Just pad our life total a little bit until we can start making some giant Huskbursters. So this is worth 3 damage, 4 damage. This is worth 4 damage. So they have lethal just off of these Bowmasters, actually. I don't know how we're going to win this one. Yep, so in comes the Bowmasters. They're going to ping our face. They're not going to ping our face. Alright, so then they're going to sack the Bowmaster token here to kill this with the first strike damage of the Ocelot Pride. Then we take 3. And then they have lethal they can ping us down with. I'm not going to make them click through it. It's there. Okay. I don't think we were that far away from winning that game. It just sort of turned at some awkward moments for us. I don't really like Thoughtseize into this. I would like to have some removal spells. They're not amazing removal spells here, though. Haywire Might, you're probably better than one of these giant boys. Hornet Queen is good if we can get it in. This isn't really a Canoptek Scarab Swarm game. Assassin's Trophy does answer their Goblin Bombardment or their Planeswalkers, so I think there is an option to keep this in. Are we getting rid of the Altanak? Are we getting rid of the Queen? It's probably just the Queen. They don't have a lot of flyers, and a lot of their guys are 1/1s anyway, so they don't need Death Touch 1/1s. Okay, let's try this. Feels like this should be one of the matchups we're okay in. We just play a bunch of creatures that are going to be slightly bigger than most of theirs. I'm not expecting us to have a lot of great matchups across the board by any stretch of the imagination. Molt Tender into Grist is pretty good. I'll keep this. I'm just going to get a Bayou, I think, here. We got to play on non-basics anyway. So you just make it harder for us to get screwed out of colours. Alright, Molt Tender, here you go. Next time we make Grist and start churning out with our little friends. And then we can play the Swarmyard and just have regenerating blockers. The tech is coming in. A Wasteland, is that what you're going for? It is, okay. Sure. Playing the Boseiju as a land, I think, because I don't want our Wasteland. I don't want their Wasteland to hit something like a Cavern of Souls. So this will make black mana. Get the Broodtender. Look at this synergy. We're making stuff happen. This has got Encore, which means for 8 mana we can bring it back, but we're not trying to really do that. White mana. They're ploughing the Molt Tender. You got it. Let's attack. Let's cast a Molt Tender. Let's play a Swarmyard. There we go. Let's regenerate our friends. Orcish Bowmaster, you're going to ping down our Molt Tender? You are. Alright, let's regenerate this insect. Feels pretty good to be able to do that. On the Broodmother, or we can start churning out these Grist tokens. I think I want Grist in. Play this, we name Insect. We'll cast this, so black, green. This can exile a card to give us some mana. Little uncounterable Planeswalker there. Let's plus this. Okay. It hit an insect, so we got 2 insect tokens. Am I attacking here? I think I am. Let's get the bits in. And sit back on this little regeneration shield on our guy. So they can attack into the Grist, but it's not going to go that well for them. A Guide of Souls. Yep, that can certainly get annoying for us. We've got an Ocelot Pride here. Then we're going to have to tick the Grist down. A Ajani. Okay. That's not enough energy to jump a guy this turn. It is getting irritating. We've got a lot of options here. I think we can go for this guy. Let's tend to our brood a little bit more. Okay. Do I want to say its name? This goes us shields down on the regeneration though. I think we just play this out. We minus the Grist, sacrifice just a generic insect, and blow up the Guide of Souls. I think that's what I'm most worried about right now. If they have a good way of flipping the Ajani, that could be annoying, but we have regeneration shields to keep some of our guys alive. We're not attacking into the Cat Warrior token. Also, when you mill the Grist and hit an insect, it gives you an additional loyalty counter as well. So by hitting that insect before, it means we've got a second piece of removal queued up with this Grist. We can also get Altanak next turn if we want to. I just don't want to have to play into Graveyard Hate if I can avoid it. Because we can sacrifice this and return the Altanak into play. It gets a bit weird with Orcish Bowmasters. Okay, they're taking out our land. They've got another Ajani, so this is going to flip the first one. They don't have a red permanent to start doming stuff. Putting a +1/+1 counter on some cats, sure. I don't have good attacks here. And they see that. Good. A Molt Tender. Okay, let's say its name first, I think, here. How many of these do we want to keep up? I think I'll keep them both up here. Just get rid of... Cavern of Souls is fine. Actually, do we want the Cavern of Souls? No, we probably just want to get this Underground Mortuary going, don't we? Also, we get to exile this card and some other cards. That's a pretty good turn for us, isn't it? We don't really need another one of those, do we? Just fill out our graveyard. Right, let's minus this. They are bouncing our Altanak. You got it. I will draw a card. They're going to ping down this guy. Sure, that's fine. I'm going to sacrifice this Molt Tender. I'm going to kill this Ajani. And we have 2 creatures with regen shields against their board. We can turn this into one of the guys in our graveyard if we want to next turn. We don't have the most exciting guys in there. Our opponent's deck is a lot more efficient than ours. Cabal Therapy. They're going to name Altanak. If they put that in our graveyard, then we can just bring it back with the guy. Okay, they are getting rid of that. Interesting. Now, they can keep Caracas looping it and stuff. But we draw cards when they do that. 1 card left in their hand. They can attack and kill the Grist here. They're going to lose 2 bodies to do so. But maybe that's better for them than just letting the Grist keep going. I'm going to block here. We'll block the 2 cats. And we'll regen shield both of them. Swarmyard's coming in super duper clutch here. Goodbye, Grist. We can turn one of these into a Grist if we prefer. Cabal Therapy. They're going to name this Molt Tender. Alright. See what the top of our deck holds. A Broodtender. I'll take another Broodtender. I'll play out this Wasteland. I think we'll get rid of their... They've only got 1 card in hand, so we'll attack with just 1 guy. I think we'll Wasteland away their Caracas. And then we can just rebuy the Altanak at some point. Using the power of Seedship Broodtender. There's a Wasteland. Annoying. Right, I'm going to put a regen shield on one of my guys. Don't think you're attacking there, buddy. Don't think we need to Wasteland now. Drawn a land, we can do some stuff here. Opponent's only got 1 card in hand. I'll attack with these 2 guys. If we play this out, we sacrifice this guy, get back the Icetill Explorer. And then we get to play the Swarmyard from the graveyard. And that also mills a card. Okay. So this way we can just keep up our regenerating blockers. And then we can kind of just do whatever we want at this point. We're quite far ahead of our opponent. We can Wasteland all of their lands next turn. Or not all of them, but most of them. A red source. An Amped Raptor. You got it. What are you going to show us? Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. That's a guy. Yep, sure. Just to my face. This turn gets pretty horrible for our opponent, I think. Alright, let's Wasteland their Plateau. Play this Miller card. Wasteland their Caracas. Play a card from the graveyard. This guy is cool. Can Wasteland another land. We get to do that all over again next turn as well. I could bring a guy back if I want to. What do I want to bring back though? I could bring back another one of these and just take out another land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Place Wasteland again. Mill some more cards. Take out this land. Alright, opponent, you've got 1 turn to have lands, and then the rest of the game you're going to be stuck on 1 mana source maximum. This feels like what I came here to do. Alright, they've had enough. Happy about that one. We've got a win on the board. Let's see if we can turn it into a match win. I like how we sideboarded here, to be honest. I don't think we want anything else. There was definitely a moment where I thought, oh, being able to grab this Hornet Queen would be really nice. Maybe it's better than one of these Wastewakers. just as like a thing that we can get out of our graveyard when we start milling our way. Let's try it. This is not a keeper. We need more land. It's more land. It is more land. Not in love with this one though. They've mulliganed to 5 cards as well. Alright, against my probable better judgment, we're going to go for this line where we can try and strip their resources out with Wastelands and maybe leave them unable to play the game. And then we can just sort of settle into Grist gaming. Their deck is not one that wants to be mulliganed to 5 on the play. Right, we also, you know, we get draw steps because we're on the draw, so we can find various things up and down the curve that look good for us. And we can just put the punish to them. So if they have like an Ocelot Pride right now, that's probably worst case scenario. Okay. Because if we Wasteland this, they're still going to be accruing advantage. But what else are we doing is the question. And hopefully our opponent will pass priority and let's have our draw step and we can find out what's going to happen. Cavern of Souls. I think we just need to cut our opponent's development here. If they don't have a second land, then we can eventually beat this anyway. But this will just grow every single turn. Please don't have a second land. They did have a second land. It's another Ocelot Pride. Okay, that is a disaster for us. Heavily punished by Wastelanding now. Shoulder's Edict. I don't hate that one. I'll play this one out. We can always turn it into an insect if our opponent wastes us. And then we'll have a 1-1. We can trade one of these cat tokens. Our opponent is very far ahead. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've almost got the City's Blessing. Yikes. Am I supposed to crack this hatchery? Oh, wow. Okay. I think we're just going to die here. This is very unfortunate. I don't think we're putting a cat on the hatchery. Say its name. We could get super lucky and mill over 2 of these and get a 9-9. If we cast Shoulder's Edict here, what is the likelihood that we actually win the game? They're going to have the City's Blessing. How are we going to deal with all these guys? I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we kill this, and they don't have a land, and they don't get the City's Blessing next turn, I think we're supposed to just make them lose a non-token creature. Right. City's Blessing looks harder to get now. Wouldn't mind a Pernicious Deed, that would be lovely. We're obviously not running it in our deck, it's not really designed for that sort of thing. Maybe we were supposed to mulligan this one. Okay. Alright, so now they're going to make a bunch of friends. Webstrike Elite. It's okay. So we could play this 3-3 and Wasteland them. No, we can't play this because this is green-green, isn't it? So we can't Wasteland them and do this. So we can either Grist. So if we play this and we block here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage we take. If we play the Grist and plus it, we still take 6. But we maybe take less if this finds more stuff, but we also take 1 from the hatchery. They kill us, oh, the Giant of Souls kills us regardless, right? Yeah, pretty much. I don't think we get to win this game. I think we're going to play our 3-3 reach guy. This means we're not dead for the turn. 4, 5, 6. Take a maximum of 6 this turn. I can put 2 counters on the Ocelot Pride. We're forced to block it as well. And we just died to the first strike. Okay. We don't really have a sweeper that lets us get back in here. There are sweepers you can play that like kill non-insects, I believe, which is kind of wild. Yep, so they put it on the Ocelot Pride. We have to block or we die. We take 5 here, go to 3. They don't quite get the City's Blessing, do they? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, they do get the City's Blessing. Uh-oh. If we weren't in trouble before, we're certainly in trouble now. No, we got nothing. Even if we just do like a really big Grist play here, and it mills like our entire library, I think we still lose. We're just going to lightning bolt into the dome. Disruptor Flute. Sure, you got it. Our opponent's Multi 5 was very good, and we got crushed. Alright, very sad. I thought that was the round we were going to win. On to round number 4. Okay, Thoughtseize into Brood Boy. That's pretty good. Or we can go Thoughtseize into Thoughtseize Wasteland if it's that sort of matchup. I'm thinking Nadu is what we're looking at over here, which does have a destructible mana base. Alright, let's keep hurting ourselves, I guess. Could be like Bug Beans or something, although the Windswept Heath makes me think Nadu. Solitude, Palace Jailer, Hull Breacher. What a bunch of horrible looking cards. I guess we take the Brainstorm here. Keep the information the same. They are a Yorion deck as well. Just waste down this hedge maze. Just fire him with another Thoughtseize, I guess. Hull Breacher, Palace Jailer, Solitude. We'll take the Hull Breacher. I'm okay for them to spend 2 cards on one thing. They have a Meticulous Archive here. They do indeed. Okay, this is like Yorion Bant Control. Could be Bant Beanstalk. Solitudes. Kind of make me think they have Beanstalks. Hull Breacher is an odd one though. An Ice Fang. Okay. It's not getting Death Touch anytime soon, is it? Are we just going to Thoughtseize again? Or is it time to get a friend in? Might be time to get a friend in. Okay. So we can Thoughtseize the next turn and get rid of this Palace Jailer. I don't want to have anything to do with that. We've taken a lot of damage from our own spells though. So let's take some more. Are they going to Brainstorm and protect their hand? Are they going to Solitude in response? And Endurance. Okay. Our graveyard's not actually that relevant right now. It doesn't have a say its name in though. I'll take this Palace Jailer and leave you with Solitude Flooded Strand, please. So this probably wants to be a Bayou so that we can play our green guy if we draw it. Right. We just need to find one say its name and then we get to actually do the thing, which is pretty cool. They can't play the Solitude this turn unless they pay 3 and put the Yorion into hand first. So attack here, we can trade for the Endurance. Unless they happen to have drawn another white card. Alright, a Source of Plowshares, sure. We lose our little friends. We get a bunch of 1/1s in a second. Now they put Yorion into hand. Yep. So let's go... Say its name. See if we mill over another one. We did not. We get to get a land back here. What do we get back? Back a land or a creature? Kind of hoping to find a Wasteland, to be honest. Okay, we're going to go to 6. Are we playing this out? I think we have to get a chump blocker available. Our life total is getting very precarious. We've dealt ourselves 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage, I think. Quite a lot. If we take 4 here, then this kills us in 2 turns. 2 turns. Is that good enough to just take the hit here? Because any land gets us a chump blocker for this on the following turn. Although we know they've got a Solitude. Yeah, I think we just have to take our 3 life when we can get it. Yep. Kind of needed a Wasteland for our own thing. As weird as that is. Them putting our Wasteland on the bottom was actually pretty good. Alright, so they're going to wipe our graveyard with this Endurance and or an extra card. Our opponent's deck is just a little bit bigger than ours, so I think they're going to have a pretty good run of killing us here. And then we immediately draw the thing that we wanted. We're just dead here. Okay, some boring Bant deck. What are we going to do about this? Can remove some of their guys if we're interested in that. How useful are the Thoughtseizes? Do you just want to keep putting the hurt on our opponents? And if they're doing initiative things with Palace Jailer, maybe just making sure we kill their guys is a reasonable place to be. This is a reasonable amount of value. I think we just go in like this though. We'll keep this. Molt Tender is not necessarily going to do the most immediately, but we can say its name and maybe get a mana for something else. We've edged our curve up slightly by getting rid of our Thoughtseizes. I think the Thoughtseizes are still pretty useful in this matchup. Our opponent's got so many cards and then so many like card advantage things that the Thoughtseize is unlikely to do that much. I think we just want to be slapping our guys on the board. You know, plow our guy? No, they're going to ponder. So next turn we cast Say Its Name, mill some cards over, see what we want to do with the Molt Tender. Unless we draw a fetch land, then we can play this Grist. We didn't draw the fetch land. Okay. Play this out. Let's Say Its Name. I like the Wasteland a fair bit here, actually. Let's get that going. Is it better to attack for 1 or mill for 1? I think it's better to mill for 1. Let's keep our graveyard nicely stocked. Hunting Grounds. As long as there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, this enchantment has whenever an opponent casts a spell, you put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield. Weird one. Let's mill a card. Sheoldred's Edict. Let's cast a Grist. See how many insects we mill over. Okay, we got some. Not bad. I think we get rid of our opponent's removal colour here. Does get them closer to threshold. We don't care about that. It is annoying that this the Altanak only gets it back tapped. Otherwise, you could go and get an untapped Wasteland. All right, Grist. Let's see how many we're going to mill over this time. Just the one. Shambles. Attack with everything here. Snapcaster just to block, or the Ice Fang. This guy. Okay, this guy is just going to trade. So, sure, I guess. Probably with the Molt Tender, I would imagine. Are you okay with that? And then we can fire off a removal spell or this Altanak, because you can do this ability at any speed. So we can hopefully get someone else going here. We don't actually need to play more spells. Recruiter of the Guard. Yep. What is that going to find? Solitude? Or do they have an answer for Grist? Let's find out. Skyclave. That would do it, wouldn't it? Let's get back this Wasteland. And yeah, I'll tap the Hatchery. Why not? Make some more insects, please. Play Wasteland. Let's take out a white source. Take out this as well. Do I want to Sheoldred's Edict right now and just keep the damages coming when our opponent's got nothing going on? Like, it's always going to hit this creature anyway, isn't it? Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. And we can just keep serving in with our massive Grist damage. Flooded Strand. So we can just pop this for 5 damage if you want to this turn. And have our opponent more or less cooked. Certainly not opposed to that as a strategy. They do have the threshold here. Ice Fang. It's a failure. Okay. If we pop this, they get to put in the Skyclave right now. We haven't even used our Grist yet. So we can hit our opponent to 1 and have 3 blockers. I think that's the correct play here. There's not a way we can put this creature in our graveyard for more damage, is it? Our opponent's got how many cards? So we play this, then our opponent just Skyclaves this. That doesn't work for us. So I think this is just put our opponent to 1 with a bunch of power in play. Seems good. They can flicker one of these out. They can also play the Skyclave, flicker out, but I guess that doesn't really matter, does it? Shall we flicker out one of my guys? But what are you going to do about the other guys? It's an Uro. Let's put them to 4. It's kind of a big deal, isn't it? Because we only have 3 damage right now. Alright, let's plus this Grist. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. That was sweet. Let's attack with all of these. And the Grist is ready to ultimate as well. This seems like a pretty strong position for us to be in. Grist making 5 tokens with 1 activation was pretty good. Alright, we got a win. We just do it again. Do we want this Assassin's Trophy? I think we do. And maybe the Hornet Queen can go. Let's try this. The one that protects from removal makes a lot of sense. Actually, the Scarab Swarm might be quite good here as well. What does this hand do? Doesn't cast any spells. This one does cast some spells. What are we getting rid of here? Their removal is mostly exile, so I don't think the Swarmyard is where I need to be here. Underground Mortuary is good as anything. Say its name. Do we need that right now? It digs for creatures, but I don't think that's what I actually want right now. We've got our sort of 2-3 drops sorted. Make a Springheart Nantuko and then copy our Springheart Nantuko. That's pretty cool. Sheoldred's Edict. Let's play some guy. Meticulous Archive. And a Source of Plowshares. Not a surprise. Let's cast another one. We haven't seen Daisies yet, and I would like to get my fetch land value where possible. Let's crack this. If our opponent cracks a Flooded Strand, I will crack this. No removal colour's white, so we may as well get this creature around a sort of removal spell. Let's get Bayou here. Giving our opponent lots of time might not be the best thing in the world. They've got quite a good late game. So Endurance is certainly on the cards this turn. A Dress Down in our end step, sure. So no Endurance here. They can still flash in a 1/1. Seedship Broodtender. Is this going to impact how we attack this turn? I don't think it is. Let me just attack with these 2 1/1s. If we play this guy out, we don't get the mill off of it. Is that a big deal? Uncertain. I think we do want the mill off of it, so I'm going to just play this land out so we can crack it in our opponent's turn and make a guy. Okay, let's just get another Bayou, I think. Okay, they're ploughing our guy. I think I'm going to activate this hatchery as well. Just put another counter on it. Say its name. We have another one. Alright, let's cast this one first before we cast the Broodtender, because this can find us a creature that might change what we're doing. Huskburster Swarm seems like a nice one. We haven't got that many creature cards yet, but we're working on it. Let's get the Broodtender. Okay, we've got 3 creature cards still. We've got Hatchery here. They have an Endurance potentially up here. We probably don't need to attack into it right now. We'll just pass. A Whole Breacher. Sure. Not a fan of this card existing. We've got lots of removal if we get to untap though. We got to untap. Big news. Let's go for an Edict first. Feels like they have an Endurance here. Do I want to waste my removal spell on an Endurance? I don't think I do. I think we're just going to play this Grist. Hardcast Force? It is a Hardcast Force, sure. Maybe we should have played that pre-combat and then we could attack in. That might have been a little bit smarter, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think we missed some damage that we should have had there. We don't want to just reanimate something because it does feel like our opponent's got the Endurance here. How much does this cost? 2 mana. Sure, I will take a 2 mana 6/6 menace Death Touch. Another Force of Will, you say? Okay. I'll play our Wasteland and we'll attack for 4. How much is this? 8. We're quite a ways off of that. So we can make 6 1/1s in the end step of our opponent's turn. We just tap this for mana and then we Wasteland it ourselves. And that 4 life that we missed earlier could end up being the thing that cost us this game. How will they handle my selection of mediocre men? Let's take this out. An Endurance. Okay. We still get a bunch of guys though. And then you can lose a creature. And then we get to untap with a lot of power in play. Attack in with many powers. I will play this out naming Insect. Do you have a sweeper in your very creature-centric deck? Like they're trying to blink a bunch of creatures with a thing. Yeah, we got a match. On the board. Deck felt genuinely pretty good there. So let's go to the final round and see if we can get 2-3. Alright, we can't keep this one. Let's mulligan. Okay, yeah. Goodbye, Hornet Queen. You are not necessarily what we need right now. Let's punch ourselves in the face pretty hard. Thoughtseize. What do you got? Show me your wares. Grindstone, Reanimate. That's very suspicious. Grindstone, Painter's Servant, Reanimate, Dragon Engine. They don't have black mana. Very curious. I think we take the Painter's Servant here because these can go and get Grindstone. If they find black mana, they do get to reanimate the Painter. That's just something we have to live with. Okay. Reanimate. Very odd. An Urza's Saga. You got it. Did they draw an Ancient Tomb here? It's the Grindstone. This is where we cast Say Its Name and immediately put something super scary that our opponent reanimates into play. I think we'll just get a Bayou here. Maybe we're supposed to get a basic. What do I want? More lands. Don't seem worst. Alright, let's take this and move on with our lives. We can say its name and get back the Eumidian Wastewaker, and that's going to be pretty good here. So this is going to be getting some graveyard hate pretty soon, I would imagine. So we have choices. We can either cast Say Its Name, or we can try and do something with this Webstrike Elite. It's kind of like extra Boseiju that also can attack for 3. I don't know, I like this card quite a bit. They did have an Ancient Tomb, understood. Hornet Queen. Guess what I didn't really want to draw? The Hornet Queen. So we could get back this guy and then start doing the thing. Or we could blow up this Urza Saga. Right now they get 1 construct. Is that good for us? I don't really want them tutoring and getting mana. So I think we probably do have to blow up the construct here. Which is a little bit... Blow up the land, sorry. I think this gets us a basic forest. Blow up this Urza Saga. To get a construct. But we should be able to outclass this construct. It's more about stopping them getting the tutor. Because that can get them a Mox Opal, which then fixes their mana. Cavern of Souls. Okay. We got some Grist action soon. Maybe that can pump out a ridiculous amount of guys. There's the mountain. Is that the same art as the mountain we saw earlier? It is. Okay. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That's a Mighty Fine Magic the Gathering card. This can give them treasures to turn on their reanimates. So we're in trouble. So we're going to add a counter to this hatchery. If we draw Wasteland, we can play Grist and then use one of these tokens to sacrifice and blow up the Shaman here. We did draw the Wasteland, so we do get to do all those things. Doesn't feel great, but I think it's the correct play here. So we go 1, 2, 3 here. We Wasteland our own land, get 4 guys. Minus this. Because we're dead if we don't do this, because they kill us next turn. Because they can reanimate off the treasure, and then they have 3 mana off the grindstone. I'm in danger. You could easily make this matchup better by just packing some Force of Vigors in your sideboard that we probably should have, to be honest. Fable Mirror Breaker. What are you going to loot away? It's time to get rid of this reanimate. Probably the Dragon Engine goes as well. Painted Servant and another Fable. Okay, I didn't get rid of the Dragon Engine. Didn't play out their Ancient Tomb either. Sorry, not their Ancient Tomb, their Urza Saga that we know about. So, how much mana have they got here? They would need a... The fact they got rid of the Painter is kind of scary. Okay, so they're just going to reanimate the Painter and just have the line that kills us this turn. Do we have anything that means that we don't die if they mill us? I don't believe we do. Just going for the grind right now, are they? That is unfortunate. So, this has text, this has text, this has text. These have texts. I'm not in love with the Thoughtseize here. It's fine. The Hornet Queen isn't really necessary, which has been happening a while. I don't think we also need the giant guy because their target stuff's going to be red removal, so our big creatures just beat through that anyway. I like being able to just Wasteland lock our opponent really easily. These cards are actively great. Springheart Nantuko has been kind of bad all league. Is this like one of the games where I think we can leverage it though? If we put this on a Broodtender, we can go pretty wild with it. Just having lots of blockers against their fair plan is fine as well. So maybe we are keeping those. We could get rid of the Thoughtseize and one of the Springhearts. Have something that looks like this. How do I feel about that? We've got removal spells. Yeah, we'll try it like this. I'm not going to bring in Leyline. I know we've seen Reanimate from our opponent's deck, but I don't think that's how I want to play this one. No green mana, no black mana. Let's mulligan. This has got green and black mana. Say its name is going to have to dig us relatively well. I think we have to go to 5. Not like this deck. Okay, we can keep this one. Bin off a Cavern and probably a Shouldered Edict. So this gets us Underground Mortuary. So we already get like an actual good play on turn 1 of being able to surveil while still making our land drops. And then we get to play the Broodtender most likely. Nile Spellbomb, sure. That's pretty good against the Porto Insect guys. But the Huskburster Swarm doesn't care about that, which is nice. Wasteland, yes please. Give me that Wasteland. Get out of here, Urza Saga. Nobody wants you. Get out. Okay, I imagine they have an Ancient Tomb in hand as well. Do they have a second Saga? No. Oh, a City of Traitors. We're looking at Blood Moon here? No, just Fable. Obviously pretty good. But we probably just kill this token to stop them getting... Do we kill this token to stop them getting stuff, or do we just make it so they get 1 burst of red mana? I think maybe one burst of red mana and get our little friend up and running here. So if they want to attack into this, they'll lose their guy. Because they've got a loot, they're probably going to find some more mana. And they're probably not going to care about losing City of Traitors once they get 2 more mana out of it anyway. The curve is relatively low. Alright, we've got some big guy. I would like to actually use it to sacrifice our hatchery 1 time. Doesn't seem very likely though, does it? They're coming in with the shaman? They are. Alright, I'm willing to trade here. Well, no, it's not a trade, sorry. I'm willing to kill this and then die to the Bowmasters, I guess. That's a good reason to be running black, so... Right, they've got Saga. So we probably just say its name, get back this Wasteland. That might force them to pop the Spell Bomb in response. And we still get to look at 3. Pyrogoyf. Yeah, that card's pretty good. Am I wastelanding our opponent, or am I trying to deal with this? We can afford to take 3 damage for a turn, I think. Yeah, I think I can afford to take 3 damage. Are you going to pop? They didn't pop it. Interesting. So we just get to grab this Wasteland here. Play this out. We take out the Saga. And hopefully the only thing we have to answer is this Pyrogoyf. We take 1 hit to the face with this. Then we can Shoulder's Edict to kill it. And then we're just dealing with the Fable token. And then hopefully something will turn up. Great Furnace. Yep. 5 to my Dome. Sure. If our opponent plays just like a Painter or something here, that's really irritating because that's a creature they'll sacrifice instead of Pyrogoyf. I didn't do that. Good news for us. Play this, name Insect, of course. Let's make you sacrifice a non-token creature. Oh wait, no, they sacrifice either one of these, don't they? That's kind of awkward for us, isn't it? Okay, I think we still have to do it now though. I assume they just get rid of the reflection because this isn't a token creature, is it? So maybe we were supposed to hit this last turn rather than wasteland them, but I don't want them getting a bunch of Urza Saga construct tokens. We can chump block this for a little while. Maybe the hatchery becomes a bunch of 1/1s. We need to make a decision about whether or not we're tapping this at the end of our opponent's turn as well. I don't think we are this time. Because if we tap it twice, that is the clock for our opponent here. So we need to not tap it this turn, because we might have to tap it next time to actually cast a spell. Grist the Hunger Tide. Not quite what we wanted. Right, let's play this on Insect. Very uncountable little friend. Okay, so we're going to be chump blocking. Or we could take it and then try and Grist next turn. It depends if this is getting any larger. Is an artifact already in the graveyard? No, there are no artifacts in the graveyard, right? I can't see any artifacts in the graveyard. Which means they can just sacrifice this for the final points of damage. So we do have to chump block here. If this clock is already lethal, does that mean we have to do anything with this hatchery now? Like, are we supposed to just crack this and get the highest high roll that we can? If it's just another Pyrogoyf, then we're dead. An Oliphaunt. That's kind of annoying. Okay, so we need to draw a Wasteland. So I'm going to put a count on this hatchery. A Molt Tender. Putting that count on the hatchery has kind of screwed us over a little bit. Okay, so this is black, green, and 1. So we can play Molt Tender and kill this, but that leaves us dead on board. So what we have to do is plus and get super duper lucky. We made 1 token. That is not lucky enough. The trample here will kill us. Oh, this gives both things trampled, doesn't it? Yeah, we are very dead there. Yep, we've got being by Reanimator Painter. Okay, so we finished with a 1-4, which is not a great record. One of the rounds was a 1-2, so that wasn't a million miles away from being one that we could have flipped over. And we did lose the other 3 0-2. We did not expect to win the league with this deck by any stretch of the imagination. And I think we learnt some interesting things here. I don't think Springheart Nantuko is right for this deck. It didn't really feel like what we wanted to be doing. We never did anything with the Eumidian Wastewaker. And we also weren't necessarily getting as much value out of our hatcheries as I would have liked. Also, we probably have too much of this top-end stuff. And Say Its Name might be a little bit weaker than we want it to be. I think this is probably still fine. But not always ideal for us. So we can definitely make some cuts and improve the deck. We can put in more interaction. I think this guy, the one time we got this guy set up, felt really good because we're milling ourselves, and this is just like an instant Wasteland lock where, oh, you just lose 2 lands a turn. Boom, 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 game over. So what we might want to do is lean more into this and run Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter can hit our own hatchery and get us a basic anyway, and that feels a lot better than just wastelanding our own hatchery. So we can have slightly more outs to get our hatchery into being actual creatures. We could also play Yavimaya and an Urborg, so that we can tap this painlessly sometimes. So there's definitely tweaks we can make to the mana base. Obviously we need our fetch lands if we're trying to play Molt Tender, but is Molt Tender necessarily where we want to be? Like, it was a mana dork that was also an insect, so it definitely has synergy with what we're doing. The milling does feel relevant. We've got these sorts of things that want to prey off our graveyard, and obviously the Broodtender. This card was pretty good, honestly. I know it's just a 2/3 for 2 mana, which isn't setting the world alive, but there's a lot of creatures that run into this and die. But also it mills, so it gets our engine rolling, and the 5 mana thing was relevant on occasion. There were definitely times where if our opponent didn't have like one specific piece, we could have just used this and run away with the game to just reanimate something, so that felt pretty good. I think there's a deck here. It's going to take a little bit of fine-tuning and wiggling around, as you would expect from insects. We need to do the wiggling. But if you'd like to see an updated version of this deck, you have to let me know. Because if this video doesn't get a lot of views, then I'm less likely to actually try and fix this deck up with some other stuff. I think if we want Huskburster Swarm, we need more milling. That's what this told me. So we needed, like, we could play it more like Hogak with some Stitcher's Suppliers to sort of help grease the wheels. We have Stitcher's Suppliers and Hogak. It's just extra things that we're doing here. Maybe we end up with Orcish Bowmasters. We sort of ease off the insect plan a little bit here. So maybe we're not running 3 caverns for insects. Maybe we're just stripping these out for like lands attack for colours. And then we can kind of still have a decent amount of insects to make our Grist occasionally do some really busted stuff. So that's another option we have available to us. There's definitely different ways we could build this. The sideboard probably needed some Force of Vigors in. Definitely would have helped in that last matchup as well. Definitely some positives and some negatives to take away from this one. Whether or not you want to go down the natural order route, just so you can have your big guys that you want to reanimate, but actually have them as things that you're going to be getting via another means, is also fine too. But yeah, deck was fun and interesting, and we learned some stuff. So what more can you ask? Alright, please remember to like and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more of this deck. Goodbye.
If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.